Well, well, well. What about that for a finish? What about that for a result? France 16, Ireland 17 at the death. Ben Brownlee, Charlie Tector, take a bow. Talk about nerveless at the end there. Grace, character, perseverance, that is a phenomenal evening's work.
Yeah, they just kept chipping away. Even though they got turned over a couple of times, a couple of chances went astray, they just kept at it and they got the reward right at the last minute.
They looked in big trouble midway through that second half, Matt.
I thought they were gone, Joe, in that scrum, probably about the 60-minute mark, when it went backwards and up, and I thought, here we go, France are getting on top, and then France made a number of breaks, but you've got to give the Irish defence credit. I said it before the game, when you go away from home, you know, you've got to get your do right. Mate, those boys tackled their heart out. And their scramble defence, when France were making those breaks down the flanks and they were offloading, there were green jerseys coming from everywhere, and they were really effective tackles. And that was the basis of that. You know, there's a whole lot of other things went into that win, courage and all the other aspects of the game. But the basis was that wonderful defence. And that tells you a lot about the team spirit and the character of the men, is how you defend. It's really, really great.
Yeah, huge tackles by Crotters there, come back, and Morrissey to actually get the turnovers and just change that momentum from that French breakaways was huge for them, and they just kept going. Their lineouts were really good. They got that opportunity close to their own line and they got turned over, but they just stuck with it, and I have to say, like, it was edge of your seat stuff.
And a word on, well, Ben Brownlee with the finish, and then Charlie Tector to kick that kick. I mean, it's easy in training, it's easy when there's no pressure. For the first time, I suspect he's at a kick of that pressure in front of a hostile crowd and made it look relatively easy, I think.
Yeah, and the French don't make it quiet, that's for sure. And when I seen him going back to the 22, I was like, how much is he going? But like, he literally made sure of it.
Yeah. I mean, any particular reason things changed up front? The scrum they got a handle on, and then Ireland seemed to edge back into it ever so slightly.
Well, once they got their scrum reorganised, as in, I think it was more a mental thing. They loosened up, and that giant tight head prop that came on for France, and they looked at him and go, oh, he's 130 kilos, what's going on here? Yeah. But they settled down, and all they did was what they did all day. They tightened up and they got underneath them. They just dropped their body height. And it's the same with any type of strength against a person's martial arts. It's about the centre of balance. Eyes below their eyes, hips below their hips. And when they got into that position, you could see their scrum was rock solid. And then that, in turn, put the pressure back on the French, because the French thought they were going to demolish them. And the French discipline was very poor. That's what that last series of penalties, probably around the 74th minute, there was the 7 in front of the kicker. France were going to score a try there. That ball was in the winger's hands and he passed inside. Really ill discipline. Came back, grabbed an arm in the line out, penalty, yellow card, then another penalty. You just can't do that. 6 in a row. And when Ireland's got such a good maul and their pick and go game was being so good, again with their body height, France threw it away.
You'd want to pick them all out, I'm sure, Grace. Any individual performances tonight catch your eye?
Well, obviously, McCormick did so well. Like, for him to play a full 80 minutes there, you know, it was huge. Morrissey was really good as well, getting up in the air really high. And it was just a real forwards effort. Like, they got in so tight. They learned from their mistake in that first half with that getting in front of the jumper, and they were just really clinical from them on. Obviously that French turnover at a key moment, but they just tightened it back up then. But as a full pack, they really worked hard, got good go forward ball. Literally, like, there was some really good phases even with the backs moving the ball around, and we seen there where the French ended up intercepting it. Like, that was really good attack and play from Ireland.
Yeah, because in the first half you felt Ireland maybe hadn't got their just desserts, and then second half it was a more uncomfortable watch from an Irish point of view. That's, I guess, when you're talking about the scramble D, that's the character aspect that you're both talking about.
The French team were so much more dangerous in that second half. Yeah. Every time they got it, they were electric.
Yeah, they did look very good, in fairness, France. For a lot of that
offloads, they took an intercept. There was 2 or 3 great offloads coming down their left-hand side, Ireland's right-hand side, and they were making really good ground. But what they couldn't then capitalise on those breaks, because Ireland was so organised in defence straight away, and not just the organisation, like the number of missed tackles, it was just so minimal. And as Darren Cave summed it up really well, it wasn't pretty to watch, but she was courageous. And, you know, we all said before the game, the big French pack, big dudes, got top 14 experience. And those Irish boys, they stood toe-to-toe to them. It wasn't pretty, but, wow, it was courageous.
Yeah, I suspect it feels pretty in that dressing room
Oh,
right now.
yeah. They won't be feeling any pain right now.
No,
a lot of joy.
Be a happy flight home, you
Yeah.
suspect.